Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about how to fix your Power BI refreshes. In particular, how to deal with the scenario where you're pulling data from multiple sources that are all ready at different times and make it so your Power BI report just refreshes once and refreshes once with the correct data. Hi, welcome back to my channel and my video series where I'm currently making a video every a little bit or every few days as a way to study for the Microsoft Fabric DP 600 exam. And today we're going to be talking about orchestration, what it is, and how you can use it to make your Power BI report refreshes more reliable. All right, so what is orchestration? Orchestration is primarily a data engineering concept, but basically is this idea that you are going to build services that happen one after another. So let's just, in the context of our Power BI report, let's just think through this. Orchestration means that before my Power BI report can refresh and get correct data, first, the data has to be ready in the SQL Server. And before the data is ready in the SQL Server, the data has to be processed in the SQL Server. And before the data can be processed in the SQL Server, the data has to be loaded into the SQL Server. And all of these steps happening in order is something that happens with an orchestration tool. So how does that relate to Power BI and to Microsoft Fabric? Well, let's jump into Microsoft Fabric and let's take a look. All right, well, here I am in a Microsoft Fabric workspace. I have currently entered into the data factory load by clicking this 3 dots right here and then clicking data factory. If you only see Power BI, I'm sorry, but that means that you probably are not enabled for Fabric, and so you might not be able to follow along for this video. In this video, we're going to be covering data pipelines. So what are data pipelines? Well, data pipelines are an item that you can create as part of a data factory, and you can do that by clicking New Item and then clicking Data Pipeline and creating it. And you can use them to do two things primarily. So the first thing you can use them to do is you can use them to copy data from place A to place B. That's a pipeline. But the second thing that you can do is you can use them to orchestrate your code. So in the scenario I described earlier, we had a Power BI report that was pulling from multiple servers. And the data was ready in those multiple servers at different times. But let's just say within a similar window. So we know the data will be ready in both servers within 2 hours of each other. So, maybe it'll be ready between 6 and 8, but that the two servers will be finished at different times. In this scenario, we have a Power BI report that consumes out of both these servers, and we only want to refresh that Power BI report when the data is available in both servers. So what I'm going to show you is how you can build out a orchestration activity or a data orchestration in data pipelines using a few different additional pieces of Fabric. So here we are in a data pipeline that I've built out. So how does this data pipeline work? Well, first, when it's run, it looks to see in this table right here, which is a table that exists in my Fabric data warehouse, and checks to see if the report is refreshed already. If for the day. If the report is refreshed already for the day, it then sets the variable refreshed to true. And if the report is not refreshed already for the day, it then executes a data flow. This data flow essentially goes in and it looks at each one of my individual sources, and it writes to a different table in the data warehouse true if all of the data sources are ready to go. So if all of my data quality checks have been passed in my multiple services, it writes a true to that data warehouse. And then it essentially, right here, this lookup looks to see if it's true. And then if this is true, it sets that variable to true. Finally, what this condition does is it says, okay, if the Power BI report hasn't been refreshed already, right here. And okay, if the data flow is saying that everything is true, then refresh the semantic model. Then once the semantic model of the Power BI report is refreshed, then write to the script, hey, or then write back to the data warehouse that this one's looking up, hey, I'm a report and I've already refreshed today. So how would this then work and how can you schedule this to run? Well, it's pretty simple. You can simply go over here to run and you could go run, you could turn it on, and you could tell it to repeat every 15 minutes between a given start date and end time, or a given day or hour, right? And so what would happen is this data pipeline on that interval would look up and see if the report's refreshed. Then if the report's refreshed, it would say, okay, don't need to do anything else, and end. But if the report wasn't refreshed, it would then run this data flow to check and see if there's any data available. Then if there was data available, it would then say, and it hadn't refreshed, it would then refresh all the way through and run. All right, so this is just a simple orchestration tool or orchestration pattern that I've implemented in Microsoft Fabric using data pipelines. I'm not going to tell you that it's the best solution that you could do from this, but it is a pretty cool example of things you can do with the data fabric and data factory workload in Microsoft Fabric. If you've enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this, diving in and showing you real world scenarios with Microsoft Fabric, please subscribe. Thank you for watching.